In 1940, Nazi Germany's air chief, Hermann Göring, sneered at America's plan to build 50,000 planes a year, calling it desperate propaganda. He believed a nation of half-Judaized, half-negrified amateurs could never match Germany's war machine. But across the Atlantic, ordinary Americans, factory workers, women, immigrants, were about to unleash an industrial miracle that would bury the Third Reich under a tidal wave of steel and aluminum. Watch till the end to see how America doubled Göring's impossible target and reshaped history. On May 28, 1940, in the Reich Air Ministry in Berlin, Reichsmarshal Hermann Göring tossed aside an intelligence report with a smirk of contempt. The document detailed President Franklin Roosevelt's audacious call to Congress for America to produce 50,000 planes a year, an industrial leap that seemed laughable. "The Americans are desperate if they think such propaganda will frighten us," Göring scoffed to his staff. "They know nothing of war production. Let them try converting their car factories, they'll learn building warplanes takes more than assembly lines." Göring's arrogance was rooted in Nazi ideology, which dismissed America as a nation of racial degenerates incapable of disciplined warfare. But in Detroit, a Danish immigrant named William Knudsen, who traded a $300,000 General Motors salary for a $1 a year role as Roosevelt's production chief, was already proving him wrong. Knudsen was orchestrating an industrial revolution that would not only meet but double Roosevelt's goal, producing nearly 100,000 planes annually by 1944 while supplying two global theaters of war. Roosevelt's bold vision came on May 16, 1940, as German panzers tore through France. Standing before Congress, he declared, "I should like to see this nation geared up to the ability to turn out at least 50,000 planes a year." The goal stunned even America's allies. In 1939, the U.S. had built just 3,611 military aircraft, and its Army Air Corps had only 1,700 combat planes, many outdated. A 14-fold increase seemed impossible. Yet Roosevelt entrusted Knudsen, a master of automotive mass production, to make it reality. When asked who could achieve such a feat, presidential advisor Bernard Baruch replied, "First, Bill Knudsen. Second, Bill Knudsen. Third, Bill Knudsen." Knudsen's genius lay in applying car industry efficiency to aircraft manufacturing, transforming factories into the arsenal of democracy. By December 1941, U.S. plants were churning out 2,000 planes monthly, a 20-fold jump from 2 years prior. Ford planned a colossal bomber plant at Willow Run, Michigan. Boeing expanded in Seattle. Douglas Aircraft hired thousands. America's industrial giant was waking up. Nazi leaders, blinded by prejudice, couldn't see it coming. General Friedrich von Boeticher, Germany's military attaché in Washington from 1933 to 1941, sent detailed warnings about America's industrial potential. His December 1940 cable cautioned, "American war production will reach unimaginable heights." Berlin ignored him, dismissing his reports as defeatist. When Boeticher met Hitler in 1939, the Führer ranted about America's racial degeneracy instead of heeding the intelligence. Luftwaffe analysts scoffed at reports of women joining aircraft factories, calling it a sign of desperation. They couldn't fathom that a democracy's voluntary mobilization could outstrip totalitarian control. German intelligence misread three-shift factory schedules as exaggeration, unable to grasp the scale of America's commitment. This ideological blindness would prove catastrophic. The heart of America's transformation was Ford's Willow Run plant, a symbol of industrial ambition. Built on Michigan farmland starting April 18, 1941, it became the world's largest factory under one roof, 3.5 million square feet with a mile-long assembly line. Ford's production chief, Charles Sorensen, vowed to produce one B-24 Liberator bomber per hour, a pace unthinkable when other plants managed one per day. Early efforts faltered. The first bomber, completed in September 1942, needed complete rebuilding. Quality control failures hit 50%, and critics mocked the plant as will it run? But Ford's engineers persisted, breaking the B-24's 488,193 parts into sub-assemblies, developing hydraulic riveting tools, and introducing prefabricated wiring harnesses. They adapted to 578 design changes in 1943 without halting production. By September 1943, Willow Run produced 148 bombers monthly, by December, 365. In April 1944, it hit 428 B-24s, one every 63 minutes, 24 hours a day. This single plant outproduced Germany's entire aviation industry. German pilots felt America's production might firsthand in the Tunisia campaign of 1942. Major Johannes Steinhoff, commanding Jägerschwader 77, noted in December, "The American pilots are no longer amateurs. Most disturbing, there are more of them every day." The truth became undeniable in 1943. On January 27, 64 American bombers struck Wilhelmshaven, Germany's first taste of U.S. air raids. During the Black Thursday raid on Schweinfurt in October, America lost 60 B-17s but replaced them in 2 weeks. In Big Week, February 20 to 25, 1944, the 8th and 15th Air Forces launched 3,500 bomber sorties, crippling German aircraft production. The Luftwaffe lost 262 to 355 fighters and 100 veteran pilots, losses Germany couldn't replace. General Adolf Galland told Göring Germany was losing 1,200 fighters monthly while producing 1,000, America produced 2,500 fighters monthly, losing only 400. German ace Heinz Bahr, with 220 victories, described a 1944 mission over Brunswick. The bomber stream stretched horizon to horizon, 700 flying fortresses and liberators. We were 8 fighters against hundreds. It was hopeless. By 1944, America's production was staggering, 96,270 aircraft, including 16,048 four-engine bombers, 35,743 fighters, and 22,591 multi-engine planes. This single year's output surpassed Germany's entire wartime production of 94,677 aircraft. American bombers carried 13.50 caliber machine guns with thousands of rounds, while German fighters often launched with partial ammunition. U.S. planes had powered turrets, advanced bomb sights, and navigation systems. German fighters sometimes lacked working radios. Boeing's Seattle Plant 2 produced 16 B-17s daily. Douglas Aircraft grew from 68 employees in 1936 to 167,000 across 9 plants. North American Aviation built 500 P-51 Mustangs monthly, and Lockheed produced a P-38 Lightning every 90 minutes, incorporating 2,127 combat-driven modifications. Supporting industries kept pace. General Motors built 57,658 aircraft engines, Packard produced 55,523 Rolls-Royce Merlins, and Alcoa's aluminum output soared 600%. America's workforce shattered Nazi stereotypes. Women, just 1% of aircraft workers in 1941, made up 65% by 1943, 310,000 strong. At Douglas's Long Beach plant, 22,338 of 41,622 employees were women. Roswell Monroe, the original Rosie the Riveter, drove 3,000 rivets per shift at Willow Run with 99.5% accuracy. Women inspectors cut defect rates from 3.2% to 0.3%. Ford redesigned tools for smaller hands, boosting efficiency. German intelligence saw female workers as weakness. Instead, their precision in wiring and inspection strengthened production. This diverse workforce, women, African Americans, Mexican Americans, Native Americans, teenagers, and the elderly, proved democracy's strength. Unlike Germany's slave labor, which bred sabotage and defects, America's voluntary workforce drove quality and innovation. Germany's response was desperate. In February 1944, Göring launched the Jaeger program, dispersing production to 729 underground facilities using 60,000 slave laborers, 20,000 of whom died. These factories produced more defects than aircraft, with sabotage rampant and quality collapsing. The metalwork complex made fewer engines monthly than Ford's single Chicago plant. Meanwhile, America innovated relentlessly. Boeing's modular B-29 construction across 4 plants ensured interchangeable parts. The pressurized B-29, costing $605,000 each, outclassed German prototypes. By early 1945, America produced 100 B-29s monthly, a feat Germany couldn't dream of matching. D-Day, June 6, 1944, showcased America's dominance. The Allies deployed 11,590 aircraft against Germany's 319 sorties, a 36-to-1 advantage. Between January and May 1944, 145,000 tons of bombs fell on German targets, exceeding all German bombing of Britain. Transport planes delivered 3 airborne divisions in one day, outnumbering Germany's entire transport fleet. By December 1944, single raids featured 1,200 bombers and 900 fighters. P-51 Mustangs, with range to reach Poland, swarmed in such numbers that German pilots called them Indians. Nazi leaders began to see the truth. In December 1944, Goebbels wrote, "Göring's promises of Luftwaffe superiority seem criminal delusions." Albert Speer later testified that American bombing cut German tank production by 35%, aircraft by 31%, and trucks by 42%. Even Hitler admitted to Speer in January 1945, "We should have listened to Boetticher's reports." Their industrial potential was decisive. Germany's Me-262 jet, operational in mid-1944, was 100 miles per hour faster than Allied fighters, but only 1,430 were built, with never more than 200 operational. Engines needed overhauls every 10 hours, and material shortages forced inferior parts. America, meanwhile, pursued jets since 1942. While the Bell P-59 lagged, Lockheed's P-80 Shooting Star, superior to the Me-262, entered production before war's end. America's industrial depth allowed simultaneous development of conventional and next-generation aircraft, a luxury Germany couldn't afford. Göring's reckoning came on May 8, 1945, when the U.S. 36th Infantry Division arrested him. At Augsburg, he initially claimed German technology was superior, defeated only by numbers. But in Camp Ashcan, Luxembourg, under intense interrogation by Major Kenneth Heckler in July 1945, Göring's defiance cracked. "I knew American industrial potential was great," he admitted, "but the execution exceeded my worst fears. That single factory at Willow Run produced more aircraft than our entire bomber force at peak." At Nuremberg, prosecutors showed charts of America's monthly production dwarfing Germany's annual output. Films of Willow Run's assembly lines played as German cities' destruction was detailed. Göring's March 14, 1946, testimony revealed his shock. "I never imagined they could increase production 100-fold in 4 years." Psychologist G.M. Gilbert noted Göring's obsession with Willow Run, calling it the damned factory that broke our backs. When shown America's 812,615 aircraft engines versus Germany's 241,675, Göring fell silent, the math undeniable. America's transformation was staggering, from 3,611 planes in 1940 to 295,959 by war's end, 97,810 bombers, 99,465 fighters, 98,684 others. 2 million workers, including unprecedented diversity, drove this miracle. Statistical quality control from bomber production became a global standard. Automation from Willow Run reshaped manufacturing. Engineers who built B-24s later designed the Saturn V rocket. The $45 billion, $800 billion today, spent on aircraft fueled prosperity, doubling personal incomes and erasing Depression-era unemployment. Workers' war bond purchases, including $45 million from Willow Run, funded the effort. Germany's 40% industrial commitment to aircraft yielded less than half America's output, with slave labor proving disastrous. The infrastructure built for war laid the foundation for post-war dominance. Aluminum smelters fueled suburban housing, chemical plants produced plastics, and machine tools equipped global industry. The War Production Board coordinated 184,000 companies, IBM tracked millions of parts, and MIT's 4,000 scientists gave bombers all-weather capability. Combat feedback drove rapid innovation. B-17 Chin turrets added in 60 days, B-24 range extended without stopping production. This democratic flow of information, from pilots to engineers to workers, outpaced Germany's rigid hierarchy. On October 15, 1946, hours before his execution, Göring wrote, "The Americans won through industrial power, not military prowess. We were defeated by better factories." His final words to Gilbert were stark: "We declared war on an industrial giant while it slept. When it awoke, we were doomed." Historians like Richard Overy call this production miracle the decisive factor in Allied victory. Without it, D-Day, the bombing campaign, and the Pacific War would have been impossible. America's 1944 output alone exceeded the world's combined production, Axis, and Allied. The victory wasn't just military, it proved democracy's superiority. Free workers outproduced slaves, voluntary cooperation trumped forced labor, and a diverse nation united for a common cause. Göring's laughter at Roosevelt's 50,000 plane goal became history's costliest miscalculation. America didn't just meet it, they doubled it, producing 295,959 planes to Germany's 94,677, burying the Third Reich under an avalanche of production and proving that freedom's arsenal could reshape the world. The story of America's industrial miracle shows what's possible when a nation unites for a righteous cause. From housewives to teenagers, from immigrants to engineers, ordinary Americans turned mockery into triumph, building an arsenal that won a war and shaped a century. Share this story of resilience and innovation, and let's honor the workers who proved democracy's strength. Thanks for watching.